like driving a mile versus riding a bike for a mile. The business side of me knows that, like, the guy at the end, like, payment-wise, the guy at the end isn't gonna give a shit. I just got an art piece that I commissioned the other day. Nice. Do you know what I'm really worried about? Okay, can I preface this to everybody? What are your guys' thoughts on the AI art ordeal? I get kind of angry just the reason why or how it's being made. At the same time, it's not a lot different than how people or graphic designers who use Photoshop, they'll use reference photos for everything. Because if you don't get what I'm talking about, the fact that the AI uses a combined, like, pool of pictures and just makes art from it, so it's technically just taking a little bit of everything and then coming out with something. That part pisses me off, but it's no different than people doing that with Adobe, except, you know, usually they're just looking at them for reference and then drawing with their memory. But it also takes out a lot of the skill for me. Same reason I don't like people who do a lot of mechanical style painting. AG, the, like, abstract, they just throw, like, paint at a wall or splatter paint. I think it looks cool, but I don't think it's very artistically challenging. Therefore, I don't think it's very good. Like, it's not that I wouldn't hang it in my house, it's just I wouldn't really care about the artists themselves, if that makes sense. AI in concept is good until you realize everything will ruin it if it gets popular. Well, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, I get the purpose of it, and it's already, like, to the point where this isn't everywhere, but there's, like, the concept artist as, like, a job position. That's already been kind of taken over. Now, granted, the people who it's taken over is, like, little D&D session gamers, whatever. Some big, not, like, huge industry business, because it is what it is, but, like, definitely someone could use it for big business. Like, it's gonna be what it is. I'm scared for the future, don't get me wrong, because if you don't know, my degree is graphic design and IT. However, I laid more heavily into graphic design, hence maybe why the Spartans look like the way they do. But in the long term, like, concept artist is the first one I can see being in a dangerous position, because concept artists, you can make concept art from AI, just like, oh, what do you want to see today? I want to see Squidward in a mosaic style on cliff sides with huge Valhalla skies or whatever, and it'll make an image, and you can base your game or base a story or base a movie off of it. So that's fucking scary. Where I don't see it replacing is in the final product or the final touches. Like, I think the barrier to entry to graphic design or, like, any kind of design might be lower or extremely high now. It might be lower because everyone can get to, like, a visual representation, which is probably what a lot of people just want, just, like, rough idea to get the patches down, and then they take it rolling from there. Or it could be to the point where the workers themselves or the people who have the idea can use that, but they don't have it exactly where they want. So then they hire the best of the best artists to come in and take over that field. That's the shitty part. Kind of like small shops or shopping small. Like, Amazon just completely dwarfed most shopping industries. Walmart completely dwarfed most shopping industries. But something new will probably come out in the future, and it's just going to be the way it is. So yeah, that's the big brain thought right now. It's like, I am totally, like, I'm pissed about it, but, like, at the same time, is what it is. Can't be angry at it if I just see it as it's gonna happen anyways. That's why I'll still search for places like Twitter, Fiverr for art stuff, like, back and forth, have people when commissioning stuff. You can't have that with AI art. No, and I agree with that. That's a wholehearted, like, why. That's the part where I'm like, I like the artist, I just don't like the I don't know. It ruins something I like, which is, like, whatever, it's life. But I really like the concept of art being something someone imagined, not someone, like, I don't know, because AI is kind of the same way, but it doesn't have any of the skill involved other than, like, thinking of it, which I'm sure every artist that's a drawer or anything has wanted to visualize, like, what they see in their head versus what they put on the paper is just different. And that's part of the skill that comes with art, is being able to interpret what you see into reality, VR, whatever, but being able to translate that. And that's, like, a legitimate skill. And then the AI just comes in and just takes out the middleman. Like, oh, you want to see this? Here, I'll do it for you in my own rendition. And it's like, well, okay, that's cool and all. It takes out the passion, which, granted, it's just how industries are. If it's not annoying to hear some Joe Schmo ego boost themselves over something that they didn't even make. I think that's the part that pisses me off the most, is just them being like, oh, look what I had this AI do. It's like, wow, that's crazy. You typed in words to make it do this, and you fine-tuned it to your exact liking. Very cool. It looks great. Don't get me wrong. But do I think it's like driving a mile versus riding a bike for a mile? or even running for a mile at that point. Like, one takes an immeasurable amount of like dedication time. Well, not a mile, but let's say a marathon. It takes a lot of dedication and time. Both will get to the same place in the end, but one's more like just respectable. I don't know, respectable is maybe not the right term. I wouldn't brag about driving 26 miles. I would brag about riding a bike for 26 miles and being like, yeah, I did it. And this is my 5th time doing it. And I'm happy to do it again. I trained my ass off for all this moment. One you put an effort into while the other is just writing something that selects an art style. Yeah. It makes you feel something other than it that's neat. Yeah, like, and that's more or less what I'm saying. But like the business side of me knows that like the guy at the end, like payment wise, the guy at the end isn't gonna give a shit. But that's always been kind of how the industry is anyway. Like the main boss who just wants this product, whether that product goes from A to B or A to C to B, it's not going to matter. He's going to want the shortest term to get to that end goal. So, like, if he doesn't have to pay some high-end artist to do all that work, and he can instead have a concept artist, or even himself maybe, just get an AI, do the process, and then do the final touches on it after the fact, the businessman's definitely going to go A to B. Then all the small consumers are going to have to stick with middleman C. So that middleman C is going to go from big business salary to having to rely on the community, which is going to suck. Anyways.